And here you see at least my computer, so I can do some research and some online surfing. But of course, due to the sound in this room, there's no way to do proper mixing or music production here. Hey guys, as you probably see and already have seen in the last videos, and more likely that you'll hear the difference that my room has now. I've recorded a studio tour with my iPhone, which I speak into right now, the other day, which will follow after my introduction about the studio tour. Was a lot of fun doing this, cost a lot of money. I will talk about this in the video, I think, a little bit. And of course, we'll link down every single link to all the stuff that I bought, the companies, especially the acoustic treatment, all that stuff. So don't hesitate to raise a question in case you are needed. If you need some information about this, or you want to know what this is all about and where to get it and what to do. And thanks ever so much for watching, guys, and see you next time. And now the studio tour. So now, this is of course the centerpiece of all I do, but we come to this later. So let's first look what I did on the acoustic treatment, because this was by far the most expensive investments. So you see, I have covered pretty much every surface of this room, from the corners to the walls, different things. I will talk about them, each and one of them, and I'll get you this big boy over my hat. So this took quite some time in planning. So let's start. I picked different manufacturers. I mean, there are a lot of people and companies out there that kind of like build this stuff, but I did like really like thoroughly researches because I just wanted to buy good quality. So the basic idea is like the basic idea of the whole room is you create this concept of dead end and live end, kind of like, which means the place I sit and where I make music and mix is so-called the dead end. That means you try to dampen down or to kill almost any reflection you get from the wall and the ceiling to make sure that the sound that's coming out of those speakers that you see, I'll talk about them in a few, is coming directly to your ear and no reflections coming from the walls or from the ceiling whatsoever. So you get the clear direct signal coming from the speakers. So to achieve that, like in the corners, like those thick black absorbers here, they are called like the bass traps, monster bass traps from GAK Acoustics. So of course I will link all manufacturers in the description box below. GAK Acoustics, they have a great list of clients ordering with this stuff, and really fantastic customer service support. I can really recommend them. So I put 2 each in the corner just to get rid, trying to get rid of bass frequencies. Now, when you start to build a room like that, the goal is not to completely kill any reflections. That's not what you want. You don't want to have a dead vocal booth where you do some voiceovers. You want to control the stuff that's being controllable. You never get a kind of like a perfect room. That's not the goal at all. It's just like trying to come as close to perfection as possible, knowing that there is no such thing as perfection. So in the corners, usually you want to control the low end. That's what I did with those big boys, 2 of them each in the corner. Above the head, it's a common absorber, which I put with those ropes on the ceiling, covering like basically the distance between the speakers going to the ceiling, coming back to my ears. So now the sound is absorbed, and the same for those gray and white absorbers here on the wall. They just absorb frequencies, not below 100, 112, 120, something like that, but it's kind of like a broad absorption of frequencies. All you see around my listening position here is up pure absorption. And then we continue. Of course, I have this famous, I don't know how you call this in English, guys. In Germany, it's called Lavalampe, which is a lava lamp or something like that. Light bulb. So this is kind of like a mixture between diffusion and absorption. So the surface you hear, they diffuse the sound, which means the sound hits the surface and it's spread out more or less randomly in the room, which makes the room a little bit more alive and a little bit more natural. But behind this structure here, there's pure absorption going on as well. This is just a pure diffuser. I have to mount it on the wall, but so far I just put it on this shelf here. By the way, the shelf, of course, you see all the TuneTrack stuff here going on. Back in the days when you used to buy physical DVDs, and the rest, because I use this room as my office as well. As you might know, I don't make YouTube for a living because you guys don't watch my videos too often. No, seriously. This is my office as well. So this is pure diffusion and a light. And here in the corner, you see the corner bass traps. Basically the same idea as those big guys did. They're a little bit thinner. They are triangle shaped, so they fit perfectly in the corner here, and the same for the other corner as well. And you see I copied the same approach with diffusion, the hybrid diffusion absorption stuff, and going back to the absorption. The blue guys that are here on the wall and on the door, and I had to do some tricks here. I don't know how do you call this in English, like the stuff where you put your jacket on. So I could put this stuff onto the door. They're called monster bass traps, but behind the blue cloth that you see here, this fiber, there is, maybe you see the structure here. You see those little panels here. This is the same idea, the hybrid idea that this guy does. It's a mixture of absorption and diffusion. So all in one, this cost me around 5,000 euros, something like that. And even more time and planning. So that's my, so that was like the first step I wanted to do. It's kind of like, before I invested in new hardware and new gear, which I did, which you're going to see now, the first thing I wanted to achieve really is to control the room. When you remember the video that I showed in the beginning, how reflective and reverby this room was. So because you cannot take serious mix decisions when the room echoes back and forth, because then you hear stuff in the song and in the music and the sound that's actually not there. So you're chasing your own tail and you're chasing a ghost because you hear stuff that's actually not in the song. So that's the first thing you want to do. And I should have done this way, way earlier. I mean, it's so much easier to just buy the next cool plugin for 100 bucks or something like that and trying to get a better sound. But if you have some money left over and you don't have to invest 5,000, of course, even just put the pure absorption panels left and right on the wall will already improve your sound. Highly, highly recommend treating your room acoustically. The improvements are ridiculously significant. It's really, I cannot tell you like how much better all sound what I do here in this room after I treated this room the way I did. So coming to some gear talk here. This is the new desk, by the way. Of course, how could I forget the carpet? Maybe some musicians will recognize a carpet like that. It's from Minor. I wanted to have a little bit of drumming feeling still in my studio here. It's a typical carpet that's, or rug, I think you call it in the US, that you use in rehearsal rooms to put your drums on. I wanted to have this. I like the vintage Oriental style of this rug, so I ordered that one. The table desk is a mixing desk from, I think the company is called ZAOR or something, or ZAOR, something like that. I will show the name in the screen probably. It's nice. It's a mixture of like cherry wood and black wood. You have this tray here where I have the MIDI keyboard and some stuff that I can hide. my chair, some trash. So now let's go left to right. So these are my headphones that I usually use for mixing. It's the AKG K, I think 702 open back headphones, amazing. Great value for the money. I have additional headphones over there, and I have a third pair of headphones in my living room, just like to check the mixers on different systems and of course on the speakers. So speaking of which, a new investment as well. These are the Neumann KH120A, made in Germany, made in Berlin, even where I live. But that's not the reason I bought them. It's just like doing researches, and these come in at around $600 each, but they are incredible. I never heard anything like that in that price range. Of course, you can spend a fortune on monitors, but you cannot get better sound with the Neumann. They are brutally honest and straight. They don't color at all, no like extended low end or high end, but that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted true and honest speakers that just give me what it's in the song without coloring it. So you want critical listening, and that's what they provide me. This one here is just one speaker. It's the Oraton speaker. This actually sounds rather crappy. It's very mid-rangey, barely low end. So you don't hear anything below 300 hertz, and you don't hear anything above, let's say, 7 or 8 kilohertz. But that's exactly what I want. It's kind of like the mid-range is so important. And of course, I learned this trick from some others, like having a mono speaker where you check your mixes on. And I can switch between the monitor speakers with this guy. I talk about this. I can switch back and forth between the stereo of the Neumanns and this mono speaker. And honestly, I do, when I start a mix and do the relationship between the tracks, like the balance, the overall balance of the track, I always mix in mono on this little boy. Because when it sounds good there, it will definitely sound good in stereo. So, and during the mix, of course, every now and then I switch back to this little speaker here. It's about, I think, 250, 300 euro one. It's active. So great one, great investment. My TriSteer iMac, I think you know it already. It's a late 2013 quad-core i7 with 32 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabyte SSD. And of course, I have some additional hard disk connected where my samples are located and some files and all that stuff, because the SSD in this model is not that big, but it's still fast enough for me to do all the mixing, especially the quad-core processor in combination with the 32 gigabytes of RAM, do the job for me. Better, more of everything is always better. Of course, I'm considering maybe buying the latest iMac with an 8-core and 64 gigabytes of RAM, but that's another huge investment that I have to wait right now. So, and the third investment after the acoustic treatment and the monitors was a new interface. I had a rather crappy Behringer entry level. It was fine, it worked for me, but this, maybe I can show this here. This is the RME 802 USB 2.0 audio interface. And for everyone knows about Studio Gear RME, made in Germany as well, but again, I'm not like a nationalist, just trying to buy German stuff. It's just like, for the RME stuff, goes the same as with the Neumann speakers. They are absolutely brutally honest, and that's what I want. They don't color the sound. They are really, really stable. The drivers are amazing. You just plug it in and it works, and the sound is crystal clear, no coloration whatsoever, and that's what I want. Maybe the inputs and outputs on this device are a little bit overkill for me right now, but I'm considering to add more analog outboard gear into my setup in the future. Maybe at least like a bus compressor or something like that, because it just sounds great and it's great to work with, and I'm super happy with this interface. I was really talking to a lot of people, and almost everyone was recommending me RME, so I went this path and don't regret it. Great setup. The keyboard, just bought the new one, the Magic Keyboard. And the cool thing here, what I do here, this is, so let me switch it on. This is the PreSonus Faderport. As you know, maybe saw in my last videos, I now use two different DAWs, which is Reaper still and PreSonus Studio One. And of course, as this device has been made by Presonus, it works, of course, flawlessly with Studio One. And the cool thing, when I sit now here, maybe I can emulate this. I use the trackpad when I'm doing like just like office stuff and surfing on the net. When I mix, I just switch to the magic mouse here because it makes easier to just swipe through this stuff. But with one hand and within the reach, I can do everything when I mix. I just like go up here, increase the volume with this dial here, which is great. I can switch to the volume of my headphones, for instance. I can switch to the second pair of speaker, which is this boy, just with a click. I can switch to mono to check the mix in mono. Just within, I don't have to reach that much. I just like, my hand lies naturally here anyway, so I just have to go a little bit up, dial the volume, switch to the next speaker, and go back mixing. And with this Faderport, I control, like I do the transport section, stop, play, record, jump between sections. Of course, I do the volume automation with the fader here, which is motorized. So really at the end of the mix, when I just want to control the levels, I use the fader. It's always better to have like a physical fader under your fingertips instead of like dialing the volume with the mouse. This just feels more natural. Do the panning and all that stuff. So this is really like made for Presonus Studio One, works with other DAWs as well. So that was pretty much it, guys. I wanted to go this way. Of course, I forgot my couch, which is mainly used by my cat, not by me, but it's just like nice to have a couch in here. So I don't know if this is gonna pay off one day, but that's not the purpose of building the studio. It's just like I wanted to just do the next step. I felt like that I have to do this when I want to make music more seriously. You come to a, let's say, to a brick wall, kind of like where you have to decide just like to stay there or do the next step. And do the next step is usually investing in better gear and better equipment. This is what all guys do when you have a hobby. If you cycle, if you do sports, or if you make music, there's always like a point where you have to decide whether to invest more stuff. So I just see in my iPhone, I've been talking for 60 minutes right now. Hopefully you enjoyed the studio tour for 2020. Let me know in the comment section what you think about the studio. Do you like it as much as I do? Do you have questions, or maybe like share some infos what you use in your studios, what monitors, what interface? Are you considering investing as well? Let me know. Would appreciate to talk with you about investing stuff and studios and all the gear stuff that we all love. So guys, have a great day and time making music. See you next time. Bye bye.